Hello, my name is Evan Herbert, and my project is on the Xavier University Undergraduate Office of Admission and Admissions Funnel Analysis. Now, like any project, before you begin, you first need to realize what the goal that you are trying to accomplish is. So I am analyzing the admissions office, in particular the admissions funnel, and there were two key questions I wanted to ask as I move through this project. And they are, what are the main bottlenecks within the Xavier University admissions office? And what are the main solutions I can use to alleviate these bottlenecks? Now, I wanted to first start off with a visual of what a traditional admissions funnel looks like. As you can see, it is a form of supply chain, and the job of the admissions office is to move students, prospective students, through each of these stages of the admissions funnel or the supply chain. So it starts off with a large quantity of students, and then as you move them through each stage, the numbers will get smaller and smaller until you end up with your enrolled class for that year. So I wanted to have another visual and turn it into a traditional supply chain that we are used to seeing. And through my observations and questions of the admissions office and the admissions funnel, I quickly realized there were two stages in particular that were going to be possible bottlenecks throughout this admissions funnel. And these two stages were the applicant stage, stage 3, and the admit stage of stage 4. And the reason why I quickly realized that these would be possible bottlenecks is due to the amount of materials, resources, and time required at these two stages. And as I dug into these stages further, I quickly realized that these two stages, in particular 3 and 4, both had their own supply chains within the overall admissions funnel supply chain that allowed them or caused them to take a little longer and need more resources. So starting there, I decided to dive into these two stages. So first, I took a look at the applicant stage. Now, this is the stage where the supply chain requires that prospective students submit materials for acceptance. So, of course, with all these materials being submitted to the university, it is necessary that people process and upload these materials into our system. So this wasn't a possible bottleneck that I was concerned with. After observing and questioning the people involved with this stage, I quickly realized the amount of resources available were quite large, and the amount of time it takes to process a single student was relatively small. And so I was able to look at this as a possible bottleneck, but quickly realized that there were a lot of opportunities to increase the time if necessary, but that this wasn't going to be the major bottleneck, which left one stage left to look into, and that was the admit stage. And this stage, I was a little concerned with in starting this project that it might be the main bottleneck, and it turns out through observations and questions I was right. And the reason why is because this stage tends to take the longest. The admissions councils have to deliberate and make a decision through looking over all the required materials, and this can take a significant amount of time. On the other hand, also, these admissions counselors are required to have a training that's pretty intense to make these decisions. So the amount of resources available at this stage is a lot smaller, and the amount of time that takes to get students through this stage takes a lot longer. And I also wanted to add the visual again, but added two new areas to this to show as a prospective student is moving through a funnel, what other possibilities they go through. So they could go to deny, where they would end at that location, or go onto a wait list where they could possibly continue to become admits in the future, depending on the university and the materials submitted. But just another visual to look into. So once I realized that this was the key bottleneck, there were three solutions I thought to help alleviate this main bottleneck. And they were to bring more resources to that stage. Now, as I said, it does take a significant amount of training for the counselors to read applications, but there are other responsibilities that can be taken off of their plate to allow them more time to read during the months that we need to get decisions out on the streets. I also thought of outsourcing the reading of these applications. So hiring people on to come in and read applications for us so the counselors can focus on their smaller numbers and their other daily tasks. And the third one was to look into improving the technology within the office as a whole, specifically throughout the decision-making process. The more that we can automate the things necessary in this process, or even the decisions as a whole, the more applications we can get through, and therefore the faster that the decisions can get on the streets to admitted students, therefore moving them through the funnel quicker. Now, my recommendation was taking a combination of all three of these. Therefore, we're making the most of our resources, most of our time, most of our technology, and getting students through the funner quicker, and therefore ending up and meeting the university's overall goals for the enrolled class. So I thought this was a very interesting project for me. I actually greatly enjoyed observing and questioning each stage. I learned a lot, and I think I have a lot of materials to bring to management to see if we can make any of these changes permanent. But I want to thank you very much. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to email me at the email listed below. Thank you.